The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
This live stream video is brought to you by Spin Ultimate. Spin Ultimate, providing custom team uniforms and apparel since 2007. Visit Spin on the web at spinultimate.com. And welcome back here from Blaine, Minnesota, inside the National Sports Center here for the U20 boys final. We have Oregon Trainwreck taking on Utah Swarm. Once again, joining the booth by Adam Ruffner, Amada Kaliande. The last game of the weekend, the 3-day tournament here at the U.S. Open Club Championships. What should we expect, Adam?
This is the grand finale. I think you're going to see the highest energy matchup of the weekend. These are two teams that have been playing each other for just about 5 years back and forth. This is a rivalry between two West Coast powerhouses. You've got a Seattle team, or excuse me, an Oregon team that has a lot of history of winning on its side, and you have a Mountain West Utah represented team that is looking for a lot of recognition on the national scene. You could sense it in talking to their coaches before this game. They want to make a statement win here, especially after losing to Oregon in pool play 13-10.
So it looks like it will be Utah Swarm here on defense to pull in their black jerseys, and then Trainwreck of Oregon will be in there donning their whites on offense.
We saw the Oregon women's team in the U20 finals dominate with their defense. It'll be interesting to see if this men's iteration of Oregon's Top Ultimate will employ some similar strategies on their end.
It should be interesting to see what kind of look they give defensively. And, you know, just talking about earlier with you, like they said 5 years, these guys have been playing against each other. You know, as teenagers do, they start to become rivals. And, you know, this is more than a game, I'm sure, for both these teams and all these players.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of that resentment and familiarity. I don't think that these teams are dispassionate towards each other, but you play a team enough times over years and you just start to sort of not like how they look out there.
So you see that opening pull deep, and will be fielded here by Trainwreck. And you see an immediate deep huck, and just fingertips away from securing the first catch of the game, not able to pull it in for Trainwreck.
That was an absolute missile on the first shot deep.
Now Swarm looking to start their offense here on the D-line. Another deep shot put up. This one into double coverage there, and we'll give them both half a D there on the stat sheet as Trainwreck another turn, now looking to hold here on offense.
That was some nice team defense deep there from Oregon.
I see the disc here at Felix Marin. Good, working it up the sideline through the break side. So they call out end zone, looking to get their set. Now an up line strike, and able to score and put us in. Right there is number 24, Micah Glass.
And a nice touch on that assist from Jared Smith. Using that nice lefty step around flick on the line. He's settling it in for a nice pie catch for his teammate.
So opening us up once again, it's an Oregon team, 1-0 early on. You see a couple of deep hucks. Look at that, two people in the space. No communication said we're going to lock this down. No matter what, one of us is going to come up with it.
You kind of like both teams trading hooks right away. Both teams looking for that deep shot, seeing what the defense can offer them.
And I think that's almost to say a statement, wanting to punch the other team in the mouth very early on, say, hey, we're here to stay. Now let it be known that we're going to start the momentum and make our statement early.
Yeah, you can already sense that each of these teams wants to get that dictation edge. They want to start playing their game first and let the other team play catch up. I think that's going to be a real important battlefront as this game develops.
So it looks like we have Will O'Brien here to pull for Trainwreck. Now we get to take a look here at Swarm's offense, their O-line. And then you see it immediately, the zone look from this Oregon team. Right now, Swarm doing a good job of changing the width of the field.
Pretty standard three-person cup here from Oregon. Doing a good job of keeping the disc in the backfield, disconnecting that downfield second level.
Power position there for Preston Hawks. Elected not to take the deep look. Surveying there is Elijah Wachilatone. Back here with Wachilatone.
Ooh, nice no-look swing there.
It's showing us all the tricks. And a Blady over the top into the back corner. What a dime ball there for Swarm.
Oh my, I like that throw from Preston Hawks. Just sort of that shoot from the hip gunslinger flick look, and then the Naruto run after he gets the assist.
I mean, that was just on the money. That was a beautiful throw as you take a second look at it. And he holstered it earlier, but just let it go, and that couldn't have been put any more perfect in that corner.
Yeah, that's a great drop shot throw and a great drive to open up on offense for Utah. Real steady against the zone, and then the second that Oregon switches into matchup defense, they just attack that break side with that throw. Easy O.
So one apiece here early on. Both of these teams' offenses trading shots early.
Utah's coach, Joe Strong, before the game was really emphatic that they felt good in their matchup defense. They thought that they played a better game defensively than Oregon in their pool play matchup. They just were reckless or careless in converting their break opportunities. It'll be interesting to see here on the second defensive point if they can generate a takeaway and get that first break score of the game.
That looks like, I believe, Nathan DeMorgan to pull for Swarm. And that's a pretty pull with a lot of air time.
Great hustle defense to get down into position there by Utah.
Looks like Swarm in a defense of their own. A high release flick, you'd love to see it.
Elevator to the top floor.
Still working through the zone is Trainwreck. Oh, switching up the marks there with the fakes, the far sideline.
I really like how Oregon has spaced the zone out, but this throw is just a little too lofty. A lot of players in the area, and nice defense there from Utah.
And appropriately, they did swarm to that disc. A lot of black jerseys there in the fray.
Disc over to Swarm with the D.
Need some help, upline, and straight to an opposing Trainwreck player there in Felix Moran.
He was just camped out in the lane there, had a s'more ready and everything.
A high release back and another dangerous throw, ripped out of the air by Jared Smith. And he'll throw another over the top throw and snagged by Joseph Renzema. Puts it up, and a score for Trainwreck as they hold 2-1 Oregon.
Not the cleanest point from Oregon's O-line, but I like that they kept coming with the disc. Both possessions there, they're looking downfield. They're looking to get to that second level.
It's a very good prognostication for the rest of their game, I feel like. Look at that flat-footed Sky there. It was a nice little grab from Renzema. Finding weight in the corner. One thing to notice, too, we're in the last game of the weekend. Both these teams, I believe, have played 8 games coming into this on the weekend. This will be their 9th game in 3 days. Trainwreck running with a lineup of only 17 players, whereas Utah goes well into the 20s with theirs. I think Oregon has benefited in more consistency and a little bit more pop in having that smaller lineup, but as we get into this last game, it'll be interesting to see if maybe depth and fatigue really become a factor.
Yeah, and that's a good point there. You know, only 17 there for that Trainwreck squad, and Swarm with some hefty numbers on their team. Maybe strength in numbers that model. When we asked who was going to be playing there for Swarm, they said pretty much everybody. So.
Yeah, they like to use deep rotations. They like to get everyone involved in their lineups. And I think that's where they get that confidence in their matchup defense. They know they can go into the back end of their lineup and really get some good minutes.
So 2-1 is the score, with Trainwreck up over the Utah Swarm. Like we said, a little bit of a rivalry. They've been playing against each other for the last 5 years, which is funny to think about also. And there's still a high possibility that some of these kids on the opposing teams might play together in college.
Yeah. It's really something in the sport when you start considering these rivalries are now forming in their teenage years as opposed to in college and adulthood. There's some real deep histories that are starting to form in some of these matchups.
As we're looking to get a second look here at Swarm's O-line. Trainwreck already a 1-point cushion. Let's see if they can get a break.
Both teams still looking for their first break of the game. That'll probably be a big indicator on who seizes momentum here at the beginning.
Nice pull deep into the corner, but it'll go out of bounds. Looks like that will be Max Dillon.
Max Dillon to put the disc in play from the brick mark.
To take it from the brick mark. And immediately a deep shot taken by Max right into the receiver's hands. Looks like Oscar Graff. And not sure if he's in yet. They're going to talk it out. Not really any observers, so they're just going to have to discuss it. And he'll take it back out, I believe. On the goal line, everyone's got to reset to where they were.
It did look like he might have caught it and then leapt in. I do agree with the Oregon players here, contention of that play.
And then he's going to tap it in. It's Kimball Pugh looking for an alley. Good rotation around. Back to Pugh. Now up line for the score, and that will be in this time as Max Dillon scores it, ties us up at 2 apiece.
That's a nice little 2-man game right there on the cone. That's what you like to see from your offense. No cute stuff. Just get between your good pieces. And here's a great set piece to start off that drive from Utah. See Dallin taking a nice look deep, finding his receiver striding into space.
And then maybe something he may work on a little bit later or learn about. Right there, electing to talk about it. Kimball Pugh could have just went back out, tapped it down, and played it again if they weren't sure. But nevertheless, tying us up at 2 apiece. So far, exactly what we expected. We wanted a close boys final, and they are proving us right so far. It's been a show.
Yeah, I don't expect too many mistakes from either of these teams given how high a level of play they're coming out here today.
So we are at a level correction, not in effect yet, but with the way the temperatures are looking, might be in a level 1 heat index eventually. And they will try to take some breaks after every 4 points for each squad to get some water, a little breather, keep the players healthy and hydrated.
It's a weird heat here today. It settles on you. It's humid. Takes a minute, but once it's on you, it doesn't really let go.
Thought about a deep look there for Trainwreck. Continue to work it up the break side. Flick across field.
You can tell this Oregon team really likes its vertical looks. Look how much space there is between that backfield set and the rest of the downfield cutters.
Good rip out of the sky there from Trainwreck. Swung across the field and now looking deep, laying out, just missing that left-handed bid.
I like that throw, but just a little too far for the receiver there.
Renzema, I think, on that play, went horizontal, just could not make the snag.
Big opportunity here for Utah.
Maybe a little bit of a give and go up the line. Another pass up the line, just mishandled. So a gift back on the doorstep right now for Trainwreck. Good mark there on the sideline. A floaty around backhand for a reset.
Similar to what we talked about in the last YCC final, I think both these teams, all things being even, are equally talented. What's really going to come down to is managing those emotions and expectations. Both these teams feel like they deserve to win this championship game, but how do you deal with that in-game reality of having breaks go for and against you?
That's a good point, Adam. Nice undercut underneath for Trainwreck. See some better defense by Swarm, kind of containing them, but then finally finding an opening there for the cut. Felix Moran scores 3-2, Trainwreck.
A little bit of a coverage breakdown there downfield, and Moran doing a good job exploiting it, making that nice continuation cut easily to the cone. And Oregon, again, having a turn on their offensive possession, but staying calm, playing good defense off of the turn and getting that disc back and still punching home the hold.
We've seen some interesting looks, offensive sets, defensively so far from both sides, and they're figuring it out and making really good adjustments both ways.
Both teams playing a little tight here at the beginning, which I think is to be expected. A little bit of nerves to work out. Again, in a rivalry too, a lot of known matchups. You know who you're playing against. You know where they like to go with the disc.
Looks like some kind of official jersey trade there between YCC players. You love to see it. Get some cool swag and drip from another team, and I'm kind of a little jealous up here in the booth, to be honest with you.
I know, we should have brought our jerseys and done a jersey trade. It's one of my favorite moments, and I think any kind of, I know it expands beyond sports now. There's that famous clip of the two guys at the Vegas casino doing a jersey swap at the end of like a long night of gambling. It's nice to see eye to eye with your competitors and people on the same field as you.
So here's the pull for Trainwreck, and it's a pretty one, deep into the end zone. Looking to stop that second throw. Ooh, that could have been a D for Trainwreck, but Swarm working it down efficiently. So they switch the force, more of a backhand force for Trainwreck. Inside throw, some good movement here, like a little give and go action. You see the disc with Oscar Graf.
Utah doing a great job of moving it between all their pieces.
Back to Graf now, Hawks with the disc. And back to Graf for the score. Even at 3 apiece once again.
Utah just seems to have a little bit more energy right now. You see that sideline come off after that score, really getting fired up for their teammates. Great drive there from Swarm. Took it the whole 80 yards. Easy as can be.
We'd love to see that emotion here from Oscar Graf getting that score.
And again, these two teams met in pool play, with Oregon persevering for the win 13-10, giving Utah their only loss here on the weekend at US Open.
So Swarm to pool, back to Oregon Trainwreck.
Goes back to one of those things, it's really hard to beat the same team multiple times in almost any sport. Particularly facing the same team twice in the weekend.
So it's a little bit of a rubber match here for the Swarm.
Yeah, you just gotta think it's one more arrow in their quiver that they can use. Just one more little piece of coal they can shove into their furnace for motivation.
Trainwreck working it around. Still in the zone look for Swarm. A scuba over the top. A couple fakes, freezing defenders in the lane. And I love the verbal and physically animated communication here between the handlers, pointing and waving their hands, letting you know their cutters where they want them to be. Nice inside throw.
There's so much signaling you can do as a handler, both verbally and non-verbally, and I agree with you completely. It's a really important facet of being a good backfield distributor. It's not just having good throws, it's communicating that space to your receivers. It's kind of like its own language. I know teams that will warm up without audible calls. They'll just clap and use physical gestures in order to key in with their teammates. It really helps develop that rhythm.
Crossfield throw into open space, and there won't be an easier score there for Joseph Renzema, even up at 4-piece.
Great discipline there for Oregon's offense against that zone. They kind of got the disc past midfield, and then they just settled in, trusted that their handlers could get the disc into the spaces that they need, and sure enough, that offside lane opens up along the rail, and an easy assist.
So we're going to take a 3-minute break on the field there for a heat level 1 warning. So they're going to get some water. 4-3 is the score with Oregon up over Utah.
All holds so far, not a break yet in this game.
Yeah, it's really incredible to see these prolific offenses work, but like you said, defense is going to win this game eventually. Defense wins championships. You're going to need a break eventually. And that's what we're waiting to work out that score. We're going to take a little highlight here, and we'll take a little breather here in the boys' final here at the U.S. Open Club Championships.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play.
Athletic pursuit.
And camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
And understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
So we're back here in the U.S. Open Club Championships. We're going to take a look here at the U20 mixed final. And look at that, Lexington Pi up over Flatline, 4-0 early on. I mean, we saw that Lexington Pi team just put on a clinic earlier in the semifinal. And Flatline, that ATL squad, usually very strong, and they had just run through a lot of competition, but this is the final for a reason. And they're having some trouble right now with Lexington Pi.
Yeah, Lexington Pi is a wood chipper this weekend. They're just kind of being fed opponents and going through each of them. It's a really strong lineup top to bottom. They're very deep. Right now they're pulling from a pretty large area pool of talent too, so.
Yeah, that's why they've got the plus. They're pulling from about 4 states. I believe Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, and Tennessee. That's why the Pi plus good. They bid to keep that one out of the ground. Just got a call downfield. As we'll take it back to U20 boys final. So that pull is sent out of bounds. And we'll bear with us there at the score. It's still 4-3 Oregon. Trainwreck on top of Utah Swarm.
Elijah Wachilatone picks up for Swarm. Elijah will put it in play from the brick mark.
Looks like it's Elijah Wachilatone there to pick it up at the brick here for Swarm.
Again, no breaks in this game yet so far. Just consistent offensive holds from both teams. Swarm, I think, looking just a little bit more dynamic in their offensive flow. You really see them utilizing all their parts, and it just makes them so hard to predict where that point of attack is going to come from.
Nice demand of the disc there by Wachilatone. Back to Wachilatone. He needs an avenue. Oh, a no look across the field.
He's got that throw in his bag. That's the second one this half.
Surveying.
Oh, thought he was going to throw it again.
And through the line, and just a little too high and out of the reach there of number 49, Rory Wheels.
Oh, that's a tough possession to watch. Right there on the doorstep, you have 2 available resets, and you just get a little bit of tunnel vision there on the goal line. Start trying to think you can punch the disc through the zone, when really you just gotta reset and re-attack from a different angle.
Almost threaded the needle right there. Just that low release may have directed the disc a little too high for trajectory for Beals.
Is that Utah's first turn on their offensive possessions? I believe it is. I believe their D-line's turned it a couple times looking for breaks, but.
Good fake, and now a big uncorked backhand towards the end zone and just missing there on the grab, but a foul was called.
Foul called.
It looked to me to be decently clean, but he might have gotten the receiver on the trailing arm. I think that's what Oregon is arguing here. Yeah,
that's a tough look.
I don't see too much there, but they would know better than me.
See the talking there between Hawks and.
I think we do have a contested foul.
It's a contested foul.
So the disc will go back to the thrower.
The disc will go back.
I believe that's the correct call on both ends.
Up the field goes Trainwreck. Nice around. Across the line. Need some options, continuing to work it down the sideline. Nice switch across. Oh, the give and go. Good switch. It's put up in the area and able to toe the line and score is Trainwreck. 5-3.
Is that Felix Moran again? He's been playing fantastic in this first half. Really a visible playmaker for this Oregon YCC squad. And you saw there why. He got rid of the disc, went up line, forced a Utah defender to switch onto him, and they still weren't in time for his quickness. Getting that upline score, getting the first break for Oregon, and getting the first 2-goal lead here.
A little bit of an advantage, putting them up 2 now. As Adam just said, just take a second look. You could smell it from a mile away after that give and go. Just look at that burst of speed and acceleration there from Seiji Kenningsberg.
I'm sorry, that wasn't Moran, that was Kenningsberg. Just great explosion up the line there. Getting up big with that left.
So now a little run here for Oregon Trainwreck. See if they can continue that momentum and get another break.
And you can see there that I think the tighter rotations really play off in spots like that. Oregon needed that break drive, and they really just worked it up between their pieces and then waited for that nice little end zone give and go space, which is something that you develop in increased repetitions, knowing your teammates really well, and having that smaller rotation, I think, really pays off for Trainwreck. Now with that little bit of momentum, do we start to see their defense fly around a little bit more out there?
It's true, that is a good point, as Micah Glass rifles one deep for the pull. Watch Latone thought about something maybe over the top there to break the zone. Oh, a high release backhand. Got to be careful with those.
I like Oregon utilizing the zone in spot positions. They're not running it every point. They're using it kind of as a change-up look.
Oh, this kid is cheeky. Watch Latone turn to the sideline after another no-look break side throw.
Has he spotted one of his swings yet this game?
I'm not sure. He's got some great peripheral vision, and another score there for number 7. Oscar Graff is Swarm battling back in this one.
Graff has been indefatigable upfield in that cutter space. He seems to be on both sidelines, especially when they're in the red zone. He's just looking for that cone, and look at him there. Just right place, right time. Ooh, so close on the bid there. But nice job from Utah using that full width of the field. And there we go, Graff striking to the cone.
Good sportsmanship there at the end as well. So 5-4 is a score. Swarm has an answer there on the hold. How can they get a break to even us up at 5 apiece?
That's a nice response from Utah right there. What I was talking about earlier with mental edge, keeping your focus, I think that's one of those drives that shows you that Utah has shown up ready for this game. It is such a game of runs. It is so much based on momentum, and I feel like when a defense does get its first break of the game like that, especially kind of midway through this first half, there can be that kind of break train run. But again, credit to Swarm for just kind of coming back out, holding steady, and punching home that score.
So Adam, what do you think is going to be that kind of momentum switch or the key to giving a team a bigger advantage here?
I think it's connecting on the deep throws. We haven't really seen either team establish that deep game, and it seems like both teams are playing a little tight as a result. They're getting a lot of their pieces involved, but you're not seeing a whole bunch of clean, easy continuation looks, and I think the first offense to kind of find that rhythm, find their confidence, is really going to carry their team.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, those continuations, so key here for both sides, and just helps the momentum out even further in the flow of an offense. Nice around. Trainwreck. Reading the space very well so far.
Trainwreck is very disciplined in their vert stack in the middle of that field. You can see handlers even clearing upfield and getting some good initiation cuts just because the stack is remaining where it's supposed to be. Nobody's straggling out and getting hectic.
Good working down the sideline, towing the sideline. There is Micah Glass. He'll send one deep into the end zone. For the score is number 89, Jared Smith.
And that was kind of that drive that I was looking for. That seemed to have a little bit more rhythm and pop than we've seen so far in this game. That was a nice continuation throw to Smith. And again, just taking those looks aggressively. I think the team that kind of gets that underneath them first is going to start pulling away.
You can see the just raw emotion and passion there from Jared Smith as the score.
And again, kind of going back to the clean vertical stack that Oregon has been running, Smith started in the backfield there and was able to drag cut all the way upfield for that nice deep route. And I think that that's going to be really critical for them, is initiating almost from that handler space. Oregon seems to have very athletic handlers that can range downfield and make those plays. And for the Swarm, I think they have a very deep team, obviously. I think that they might even have a little bit deeper team than Oregon, but who's maybe going to step up a little bit? Who's gonna challenge and be kind of the alpha today in a championship game?
And that might be strength in numbers here for Swarm, and might not just be one person. It's going to have to be a collective unit.
Well, and we saw that from Oregon in the women's YCC game right before this. You know, Oregon had that terrific trio step up for them in the championship game. Can Utah replicate that? Can they kind of have some kind of united front from their captainship?
A score update there in the mixed final. Lexington Pi up 6-0 over Flatline, the ATL mixed team. And what a margin there in that game.
Lexington going for the mercy rule here in the semifinal and finals of their bracket.
Yeah, they've been putting on a clinic, and it's a well-oiled machine there in Lexington.
This Oregon defense is suddenly starting to get some dividends, although, as I say that, Swarm getting a little bit of rhythm going upfield.
Ooh, that one's dug up off the ground. And Watsatown, he's got just a smoothness in his game as a handler.
I almost want to see him get the disc more like they're doing on this drive. He really seems to be a driver for their success. He's just got every throw, it seems.
He's got the fakes, the subtleness, everything in his turns. Don't really know what he's going to do next. And another no-look high-release backhand from Watsatown.
One thing to watch as this game develops is that Oregon is the only team running his own defense. Are they tiring out this Utah offense and giving their offense itself more of a break in this heat? These are some long O points now for the Swarm. That might take its toll a little bit later on in the game.
Good patience here from the Swarm.
Very good zone point here for Oregon.
Watsatown looking. Finally gets an option. Nice dump swing.
You can see the throws for Utah are becoming conscious decisions, which is something you very don't much want as a player. You want to be in that muscle memory part of your game. Right now, Utah's thinking about everything.
They're also doing a good job of not taking too many risks. Just continue to walk it up the field and taking what Trainwreck is giving them. Back in the hands of Watsatown. Working up the sideline, almost punched in on the end, the front of the end zone. And into grab by his lonesome. He'll score another one there for Swarm.
Was there any running on those last 8 points? It almost looked like 8 straight handoffs. But that's what you want if you're the Swarm.
Yeah, they've done an excellent job. And like I said, just didn't look like they were being rushed, playing their own game. And oh,
what a dig out there from Beals.
Wow, that was close. Very close.
Pigtail power.
And just wide open there for another score. Oscar Graf.
Graf is definitely the finisher for this Swarm offense. I believe that's his 3rd goal of the day.
6-5 is the score right now with the Oregon Trainwreck up over Utah Swarm. It's exactly what we expected. We really wanted a close, tight-knit contest. Back and forth between both powerhouses here in this final.
Yeah, not much separation at all. You can really start to see how well these teams know each other. There's just a lot of anticipation, I think, on defense for understanding where these cutters and throwers want to get the disc. And conversely, both offenses are patient against these defenses. These are good defenses. You see bodies flying around out there. There are some layout attempts, but cool, collected heads are prevailing so far. Just 1 break score for Oregon, and that's the difference so far.
You see Will Selfridge back to pull now for the Swarm. Let's see if they can get that elusive break at this point.
Will Selfridge on the pull for Swarm.
I think given how this game is playing out, it's really going to come down to who's holding the disc last. Who gets to halftime first, and who kind of just continues to hold out these O possessions and maybe just burn up clock until a soft cap.
Good undercut here for Trainwreck. Having a little miscommunication there in the handler space.
A lot of trust in the throwers in the backfield for this Oregon O. A lot of spacing downfield.
Continuing, as that's a dangerous throw in the fray. Coming out is number 8, Will Selfridge.
This is big. Utah going for that first break, looking to tie it up.
And we'll see a first look at the O-line, try to play D. An inside throw, right down the sideline. And smart play, calling a timeout, maybe about 15 to 20 yards away from the end zone, and they're going to talk things over and probably set up a play here to equalize the game.
Utah fired up after that one. That was good lockdown defense to force that turn. Selfridge obviously coming up with the interception itself, but really good pressure there, top down from the Swarm on that last Oregon O possession. You can just see real honest positioning from all the defenders, and a throw that gets away there from Oregon. Hands on head, just didn't quite want that much lift on that flick.
And we see a heated sideline games contest of rock, paper, scissors. Honestly, so we take a live look in at the mixed final. Lexington Pie here with the disc, and they will get the score there in the end zone. Waiting on confirmation there of the updated score. Wow, Lexington Pie 7-0 still right now over Flatline. And they're 1 point away from taking the half against Flatline. Would love to see some fight there from that ETL squad going into the half, make it a little bit closer of a comeback there in the second half.
Yeah, just pure domination from Pie in this tournament.
And it was interesting to hear and talk from the coach, as we will continue that when we get another live look in. Back to our scheduled contest. Swarm here with the disc, about 15 yards away from the end zone. It's going to be here on the disc is Will Selfridge.
I think if you're Oregon, you really stake your ego on this red zone defensive approach. You want this stop.
Yes. We'll throw over the top. the mark. Nice fake back to Selfridge. Backhand around.
Interesting choice of the zone here out of the timeout from Oregon. You don't often see teams just deploy a zone in a red zone, but it's yielding some good results so far.
It's good pressure.
Forcing the disc back there off that goal line too.
Swarm needs an outlet. A diving cutter sliding in to pick that one off the ground.
That edge was nosediving quickly.
And Trainwreck is making Swarm work so hard to punch it in here.
This is a good defensive possession for Oregon regardless of the outcome at this point. You're making Utah work for this score.
Good sideline defense, a good switch. Cross, maybe trying to get some movement. Going back the other way, and
oh, that was pretty.
That was money there on the assist from number 11, Everett Saunders.
Wind up and let him go. That looks spring-loaded. I love when handlers get that kind of ramp-up look in the red zone, using their own momentum on that back reset to get a little give-and-go action upfield, and then just knifing that throw home. Look at that.
Equalizes at 6 apiece, and like I said, the elusive break, they finally were able to capitalize and get it. Now it's a tied ball game.
You could see him kind of pull in a few defenders at that back fake, and then as he shot upfield, just punch through all 3 of them, really exposing the midpoint in that zone look. Terrific patience there from Utah's offense. That was a very good defensive front from Oregon, and they kept getting the easy resets, taking space, even moving the disc back almost to midfield there at a certain point, but confident that they could punch home that score.
So now as we await the answer from Oregon Trainwreck's O-line.
Big momentum shift there, I think. You know, Oregon was in a position to go to punch in just the score before half. Now all of a sudden it's tied again. You've got to put your offense back out there again if you're Oregon. It's hot out. I still feel like Utah, even though they're not quite on serve here, they're battling back a little bit. That was their first break of the game. Just a real even contest so far.
Nice bladey pull from Will Selfridge. Nothing downfield immediately for Trainwreck. Through the middle, and that was a knifing throw.
A little bit of a bailout there, but it connected.
Still nothing downfield. A lot of dancing in the handler space.
Really good handler defense here from Utah. Applying pressure at the point of attack. Call downfield, a pick. As you can see, Graff just walking up so slowly after being obstructed from his cover.
This goes back to Bantonis.
This back now with Trainwreck. A nice two-handed high release backhand. Across the field we go here for Trainwreck. Thought about a deep shot. Up the line. Good continuation. A hammer cross field. Rifled in for the score is number 24, Micah Glass.
Oh, that was money from Bantonis. What a nice crossfield hammer sniper shot from the young man there. I thought Oregon was looking a little bit like they were cheeky, checking too much downfield, but when they can uncork a throw like that, there's no wonder they like looking for deep space attack.
Yeah, might need to call Ben Thor from now on with that hammer. Crossfield, finding it perfectly into the corner. Like you said, a money throw.
Odin would be pleased.
Very much so. 7-6 is the score. Trainwreck up over Swarm. They're one away from half.
Both these teams showing a lot of mental composure. It's felt like both squads now have had ample opportunity to take a momentum on their side, but both teams are punching back. You know, you see both teams respond with an offensive hold following giving up a break. And that's really encouraging and just really impressive, I think, again, for a lineup of some first-year college people, but mostly pre-college players here, showing a lot of mental composure in a championship game.
Trainwreck organizing their D-line there, trying to talk about some points of emphasis. The Swarm looking for an answer.
Another big point here for Oregon. They can take half here and a break. Just a lot of momentum in a championship game if you can seize that kind of opportunity.
So that's Owen Heighton on the pull.
He was questionable entering today's game, so it's good to see him out there.
So working it down the far sideline. Here's Swarm.
You can see how much more Utah likes to stack people in that backfield compared to Oregon. Oregon running like a 2 backfield, 5-person vertical stack, and here you can see 4 to almost 5 players in the Swarm's backfield.
Just picking that one up off the grass there for Swarm.
I believe that's Beals again pulling out the turf barrier. No, I stand corrected. Dalen, that was.
So call downfield. Just organizing things. Into the middle. Need a reset for Swarm. Around.
Ooh.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he dropped that.
Yep. Not sure if he caught that one. And good spirit there from Graf.
Graf has been so sure-handed in this first half for Utah.
So an opportunity now for Trainwreck to break and go up and take half. And a big backhand put downfield, racing towards the back of the end zone, and just a little too much sauce right there for Trainwreck.
Yeah, just a little too much cheddar on that throw. You like the look. Just curving a little too far, a little too out in front.
Looking for Mia Radke, not able to get, just squeezing through his hands.
Sweaty discs. From a field position standpoint, I like that huck a lot too. Utah's been taking a lot of passes to work the disc upfield, so I think if you're Oregon, you like that punt and play D approach a little bit here, rounding towards half.
So an opportunity once again for Swarm to hold on offense. Wasseltone is just constantly moving. And I think they're going to call him for travel.
Yeah, he seemed to round up a little bit as he wanted to initiate that throw and go. I thought I saw it that time too. Usually he's pretty deft at that catch and release all in one motion, but it looked like he kind of caught it and then rounded into it, which is a pretty easy way to spot the travel. Couldn't quite see it there in the catch, but.
Good spirited discussion. Bring it back to Wasseltone. And now up the field to Graf. Still working the disc around. Some excellent patience here from Utah. That one up the field, down the sideline to Graf, open once again. He needs a reset. And a nice horizontal bid across the field there by Dylan.
Full extension there.
Back to him. Max has it.
That's that championship game effort you love to see.
Wasseltown. No look. Backhand. High release once again for the score. And we're knotted up at 7 apiece.
You got to expect that at this point from him. He's just been dishing out of the corner of his eye all day. But what a grab there from Dahlin to save that possession. That was huge. That could have been a game-changing turnover, but he says no.
Yeah, and this kid wants to turn right now. Boop. Crafty little veteran at 18.
Just rabbit out the hat right there.
So crazy.
Just magic man there in the backfield. It's just so impressive to see kids that confident with all the little throws at that age.
7 apiece. Next point will take us into the half.
What a good game here. Both teams just coming out and responding to each other back and forth. It's really like a welterweight battle, just a lot of good technique and good punching from both teams.
A lot of little jabs here and there, but they're answering each other back and forth. I mean, this is exactly what we expected so far in this first half. We wanted a close contest, and these two teams, rivals the last 5 years, and showing that they know each other very well and have put on a show here in this U20 boys final.
Yeah, I think it really gets back to that rivalry. They know what to expect from these teams. They've been in a bunch of battles. They've been in back and forth situations. They both have that confidence going in of, we know this opponent. We know what it takes to get into games.
That's the halftime cap, but it's still the next point will take us to the half.
Utah in a great position here to kind of steal momentum, I feel, out from under Oregon if they can get a break here. It's kind of felt like Oregon's held just a little bit of that edge in the scoreboard throughout this first half, so for Oregon to kind of flip it here right at the end, I think would be huge.
Look at that personnel. Looks like a couple O-line players looking to play D-line on this, must-need point and break for Utah Swarm. There's a deep look and a cut. Disc wasn't in a handler's hand, so couldn't really feed that cutter. Good movement. Oh, a costly mistake.
And there's that opportunity for Utah. You can see them taking their time and picking this disc up. And who else?
Watch Latone to set the tone right now, perhaps, and take us into half. Good movement. Working it up the field. And they're going to go quickly. And they're going to call it travel. Looked like a pivot foot was picked up.
I really like this aggressiveness, though, from the Utah handler core. Just picking that disc up and starting to run with it. Looking to maybe catch Oregon just a little fatigued after that turn.
Graf looking to cut. Now watch Latone in the end zone. 8-7 Utah Swarm. And look at that. He's so amped up right now for his squad. Trying to amp them up. Flex on him, young blood.
I love that. He's held such a steady composure throughout the first half, and to just let it fly after scoring his first goal, that's leadership right there. Say it with your chest. And just such an impressive final point of the half there from Utah. Again, kind of playing just a little bit behind in that first half, in the edge and the breaks, and then getting that break, getting this one, and taking the lead 8-7 into half of the championship game.
Yeah, just phenomenal playing here from both sides. And like you said, this is exactly what we expected. You know, Oregon first came out with that big punch. Then Utah just slowly battled back and took their opportunities when they had them.
There you see when Oregon's first scores the game up line. And I love that rip from the hip, cross field drop shot. That's something you're not going to see too much at higher levels. The youth love that throw.
So what a first half here in this one. As Utah swarm up 8-7 here at the half over Trainwreck. And we will be back shortly here for more second half action in the U20 boys final here at the 2021 U.S. Open Club Championships.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young.
And still a perfect circle.
Of fair play,
Athletic pursuit.
And camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network.
Before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias.
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
That there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Sockeye centers to Montague. Now he looks deep, but there's help off the backside. Can Raider make a play? No, but a layout from Janin saves the play. And Sockeye stays with it, and Janin gets into the end zone.
Now a big shot downfield for Arango.
Noah Saul looking deep and a perfect throw on target.
Walker Matthews dunking on his defender.
Steps into a backhand looking for Raider. Williams giving chase. Raider goes up and makes the play with two hands. Saul looking deep for Lanier. Lanier lays out.
Carter's looking for White, but a poach block interception.
Got something to say to me, say, you know I've been waiting so patiently. This is my legacy, y'all don't believe me, then wait. Basically, I have been running things, you could just go on and take a seat. Love when they hated me, put that on everything, not on my level. You could be the enemy, this is the plan that we showing them anyway. Hit up the lawyers and give them the NBA. Whoa, this is the brand new, this is the brand new. Nothing you can do, nothing you can do, and there ain't no doing it. You'll be taken from
Steps into the backhand.
Nothing made it, something
He's He's got Davis chased to the back line, but it's a perfect shot.
Kasednar is stuffed.
Matt Rader looking for Janin, and it's knocked away.
And Dylan to the end zone for the layout grab. Lanier looking for Williams deep. Williams goes up over the defender. Now unleashes the big forehand downfield. He gets up and makes the catch.
Now Cyril Bose looking deep for Jack Williams. Double coverage. Trent Dillon trying to get in front, and Jack Williams climbs the ladder.
Joe White. Joe White with the full extension layout grab.
Jeremy Hess to the end zone. Alexandra Fall brings it in for the truck stop score. That's the game.
Welcome back here to the 2021 U.S. Open Club Championships here in Blaine, Minnesota. We have the U20 boys final. Currently, Utah Swarm up 8-7 over Oregon Trainwreck. Trainwreck to pull and start the second half here on defense. And in that first half, we saw Washington get that 8th point to take us into the half. So let's see if Utah can continue some of that momentum and create some separation here from Trainwreck. Graf now over the Washington. And there's a call down the field. Maybe some contact between cutters.
Great moving, Oscar. You're winning it, baby. Win your matchup.
A pick call downfield, excuse me.
Wachalaton with the disc for Swarm.
Some good spirit there between both sides. Wachalaton now on the disc. Back around to Wachalaton. Here on the end zone, he's looking for something. And then up to Wachalaton once again. 2-point advantage. Run away with the kid.
Get on the Wachalaton bus. It's leaving the station.
9-7 Utah Swarm.
I talked a few points ago about somebody on either one of these teams stepping up, becoming the star for their team in this championship setting. It's Elijah Wachalaton right now. He's taken over this game.
Yeah, I was just talking to you about it at the half. I want this kid on my summer league team.
Yeah.
I will draft him very high on my summer league team. He's been showing out and balling out.
It's that composure, right? Like, you just see it in his shoulders. He's just walking out there confident, head held high every possession. It really trickles down when you have a handler like that in the backfield to the rest of your team. Cutting more confidently, moving to space more confidently. You really kind of see Swarm opening up their confidence a little bit, playing a little less tight, getting more into their rhythm. It's not necessarily deep attacks like Oregon likes to do. It's that give and go stuff around the red zone that they're very, very good at.
And right now, they are just feeling themselves, momentum in their favor. But let's see what kind of answer Trainwreck has in this offensive line.
You know, ever since Oregon had that opportunity to move up 7-5 a few points ago, it's been a lot of Swarm in this middle part of the game. They're really starting to take hold of this game.
Michael Glass to put the disc in play from the brick mark.
And again, you wonder if that smaller rotation is starting to take effect on this Oregon Trainwreck team that has been playing undefeated throughout this weekend.
So now it looks like a zone from Swarm. Maybe to cause some confusion. And a hammer cross field spinning and just not able to hold it and handle is Felix Morin.
Great team defense there from Utah. They had 2 players in the area looking to make that throw contested.
Now up the line. Maybe a pick called. It was a really good opportunity for power position. Deep hook luck.
We had an offensive foul called.
I believe a push off there.
Disc
On
is
that
going
upline
back to
cut from Utah.
Still the disc back there with Will Selfridge. And just a mistimed cut and a mishandle there on the sideline. If you're Trainwreck, you've got to take this one and use it.
That's tough. Oregon could have taken the largest lead of the game by other team there with that break. Now Oregon picks up just 20 yards outside of their own end zone.
A hammer cross field right into the end zone there for number 2, Joseph Renzema.
Money ball there on the hammer. Second hammer assist this game for Oregon. Really liking those over-the-top throws.
That's much needed. Jake bring that lead back within 1. They cut into it.
Micah Glass throttling that throw across the field to Renzema. Renzema doing a good job of knowing where he has to get in, not just straddle that line. A big score there from Oregon, stopping the bleeding there a little bit. Utah was on their own 3-0 run starting at the end of the first half.
9-8 the score. Swarm up over Trainwreck. Trainwreck wants a break here.
A lot of crisp, clean O in this game. Not too much opportunity for defensive breaks.
And both sidelines still as animated as ever. Equally just very loud and ruckus here. Trying to amp up their squads.
You can see Utah starting to run a little bit tighter rotations right now, trying to get some of their top end players out in the field a little bit more as we dig into the real crucial points here in the second half.
Nice pull, heading deep, fielded. Nothing initially under on the cuts. Their stack is really deep now for Swarm. You hear that from the sideline. Bring the stack in. Finally, a nice undercut.
Ooh. He eclipsed him on that under.
Swiper, no swiping. Coming in and just stealing the disc away.
O'Brien hitting the launch codes and blowing that possession up.
And now an around backhand, floaty in the air, and still swiped off the initial D. Trainwreck right in the front of the end zone. Can they punch it in? And did they score there? And if they call not in.
Not quite sure what the discussion is about.
I think they're talking about Ben saying that he tiptoed, but they're going to allow it and it will stand. So we're tied up at 9 apiece. A little confusion there, but Good spirit from both squads.
You're starting to see that real unbridled emotion from both teams that can either kind of be a gift or a curse, depending on how you harness it. Look at that thievery.
Whew. That was a great bid on the D.
Just when I was opening my big mouth about not many defensive plays in this game. Great focus catch there from Dones.
That was very close there on the end line.
And it feels like with that score, we kind of entered the lightning round of this game. It's 9-9s. We're digging down here towards the soft cap. You're starting to get some longer points here. Really, every throw starts to matter. As cliche as that sounds, is we've got about just under 17 minutes until that soft cap horn blows.
And it's true because we're knotted up at 9 apiece. You know, every small little mini decision down the stretch kind of matters a lot in the grand scheme of the game. Especially like you said, if soft cap goes off, could be closing the door for possibly a large comeback for either one of these teams.
I just want to say how impressed I am by both teams handling the other team's run and then coming back. You know, Utah had a chance there to go up 10-7, and Oregon has now battled back from that point, scored 2 straight, and now has their own sense of momentum. It just keeps flipping sides here. Really a testament to how well prepared and how well coached both these squads are.
Not a zone look, though. It's man defense, but a little bit poachy in the lane for Trainwreck. A deep cut. There's Graf under it. And the button hook cut. That was crisp, but not able to come in with it.
It looked like O'Brien, if he didn't get a little bit of a piece of that, he got enough in the way of the sight line of that disc to affect the catch.
That was the cut for a nice button hook into open space, but could not come up with it.
O'Brien here making some terrific defensive plays for Oregon in the clutch.
And big around. See some cuts under here for Trainwreck. Up, and that one is kept in.
Great toe tap there from Morin.
And he's calling it out. Perhaps maybe thinking it was on the line.
It's a little bit of a far off call to be making, I think. Don't believe it's the defender matching up on Morin. Oh, nice throw over the top.
And Pat, just like that, Trainwreck up 10-9, quickly making a turnaround and comeback.
Man, just when Utah gets a 3-0 run of theirs, here comes Oregon with their own 3-0 run. O'Brien catching the goal after getting that pressure defense in the end zone. And again, Morin looking pretty in there. And a nice decision right there off of the dead disc, just striking for the end zone, finding the wide open O'Brien. Again, O'Brien coming up with a huge catch block, and then again pressuring that disc in the zone, forcing the turn.
We do have a timeout on the field. Swarm have taken their first timeout.
Swarm takes their first time out of the second half. I'm gonna talk some things over. What do you think's going on in their huddle right now?
I think they got a little bit away from themselves on those last couple of possessions. You saw during their 3-0 run, they did such a good job of centering their play around their handler motion. Really getting the disc into attacking spaces near the red zone and then kind of letting their bread and butter fundamentals drive home that disc. And in the past couple of possessions, they've been testing a little bit more into space, which seems to play to Citywide's strengths just a little bit. It looks like Citywide has a little bit of a matchup edge in their one-on-one matchups. I think if you're Utah, you just want to get back to that kind of watch a Latone bread and butter, you know, give and goes, really relying on that backfield to propel your attack.
Yeah, gotta get back to that handler movement here for Swarm. So it worked so well there in that first half, and they had the momentum. Trainwreck battled back. They're making it a contest. They're up 1.
And I think if you're Oregon, you continue to ride that momentum of the playmaking we're seeing from them all of a sudden. Got a couple of hammer assists. You got a big layout block. Got a couple of skies. You can see Oregon feeds off of that big play momentum.
Love that little cheer there from Utah. Very clever.
Been curious to see Utah not run a zone look just once or twice, just to give Oregon's offense something a little different to look at, especially considering Oregon really wants to attack that vertical space. Just make them work it a couple times under, but that's why I'm in the broadcasting booth and not holding a clipboard on the sidelines.
Exactly. We'll stick to our jobs a little bit easier. Another no look, high release over the top by Watch-Latone. And there's Trainwreck here in the zone. Switch across the field, Graf now at the disc.
Utah with some great pace on offense right here, getting the disc out of the hands very quickly and easily.
Another high release flick.
No look again.
Watch-Latone stepping through. Thought about rearing back there. Watch-Latone, a blade flick into the area for the score. And we're tied back up at 10 apiece.
And you could see Utah's offense get right back into their comfort zone with Watch-Latone going every other.
That's exactly what you dialed up, really. Just get back to your offense in the handler set. And he saw it the whole way and just let it rip.
Gotta let your shooters shoot. Watch-Latone again, just showing he has every throw out here today. It's good positioning from Oregon's defense, but just a perfect throw to beat the zone there.
So 10 apiece. So it's been basically a stalemate. Just back and forth we go. Both teams really proving and having runs of their own, but just a lot of firepower on both sides to match.
Yeah, both teams doing such a good job digging in their trenches when they need to.
So as we await the pull here from Utah. Pull is sent. Let's see the answer from Trainwreck. Miscommunication. There's no one downfield on the second handler. And the deep look. Rifle two in the area, coming up with the snag and pointing in for Trainwreck is number 10, Will O'Brien. Big time.
Will O'Brien putting on the crown towards the end of this game. That boy's acting like a king out there. 2 defenders, no problem for him in the air.
Says 2v1, I got this. Yells out a primal scream. So take a second look. Big shot deep, and O'Brien ripping that one out of the sky.
Just a raptor grab there over the top. Look at that claw.
That is just filthy there from O'Brien.
I was wondering when that throw went up what he was seeing with both defenders in good position. 2 versus 1 outmatched, but clearly O'Brien up to the task.
And with the offhand, especially too, the left hand, that's, can't teach that.
No, and O'Brien really, really making some nice plays here for Oregon down the stretch.
11-10 the score. Oregon retaking the lead.
And again, even though Oregon feels like they have the playmaking edge, Utah just keeps coming back out here, point after point, and showing that they can hang. You love that.
Yeah, there's a resiliency here really from both sides. It's just been, you know, punch for punch, jab for jab with each other. I mean, that's exactly what you expected for teams that have seen each other the last 5 years. It's a rivalry because both teams are so solid.
Oh,
nice turn, stepping in the lane. Trainwreck maybe looking for a break. And a timeout burned. What a smart timeout there from Glass.
Big, big opportunity as teams have just been trading here these last few points. We're going to take a quick switch over here during the timeout.
You see the U20 mixed final there between Lexington Pi and Flatline of ATL. 8-2 is the score. It looks like Pi there with the disc. In the Kurt Hawkins hands.
Atlanta clawing back a few points, it looks like, since we last checked in on them.
Back to Carter Hawkins, excuse me.
See just so much patience here from Pi. Relying on their handler sets. Ooh.
That was a dangerous one across the middle. And that's a turn there for Pi. Let's see how Flatline can answer.
Pi, another team instituting a lot of zones this weekend. Seems like the teams that have come prepared to run zone defense have really benefited, especially with the way the weather came in those first couple days of pool play.
Dig around, still working it now. It's Flatline.
We're about to get set back to the men's YCC final.
Will Selfridge on the mark for Swarm.
So we're back now. Just taking that timeout was Swarm, or excuse me, Trainwreck after they got a D. Glass with the disc. Good cut under. Back around the Glass. Excuse me. Still working around. Oh, a nice inside throw. Oh, and a call for a celebration. Maybe a pick or a travel. This will be sent back. Back to Dylan Canast.
That was a great IO throw there from Dylan Canast.
And now another inside throw. Why not go back to it? And that's the score to put them up 12-10. Huge break there for Trainwreck.
He liked that cookie jar so much, he dipped back into it a second time. Trust in that IO dart.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And just pretty inside. Gets it back. Exact same thing, same result.
That's just good to the cone offense there from Oregon in a pivotal red zone possession.
We are still at Heat Index 1. We'll take a 3-minute break, everybody.
So we have that
Hydration and shade.
Heat Index level 1 currently, and they'll take a nice little 3-minute water break. Cool off there in the shade and get some water. These boys have been really running out there really hard. Glad they're able to take a breather as we'll take a live look in back at the other game, the mixed final. Looks like Lexington Pi here with the disc on the goal line. Back to Carter Hawkins, and he's a shooter for this team, and secured in the end zone. 9-2 Lexington Pi, up over Flatline.
I haven't seen too much of Pi this weekend. Has their execution just been on a different plane?
This, honestly, chemistry personified. You look it up in the dictionary. That is Lexington Pi. They have been phenomenal. In that semifinal game, which we watched them play, just like clockwork defensively, communication, different zone looks. It was just money.
Yeah, I got to see that one in person, and it just, you know, it was my first glimpse of them of the weekend, so I wasn't quite sure if that's how they've been playing all weekend, but very impressive. Very, very impressive from the mixed squad out of the Lexington area.
So take a look there, the own line, the flat line.
Atlanta, always known for their strong youth competition over the years. One of the hotbeds of Ultimate historically. Not really a surprise to see them here, but Lexington, similar to Utah, I think it's one of those areas that's looking to get a little bit more recognition on the broader stage. They have a lot of talent, and I think that you see that now in some of these youth programs. They really kind of want to shift the narrative from some of these coastal biases that have dominated narratives throughout the history of the sport. Something to be said from the quote-unquote flyover states yet.
Now I'm looking to see what kind of resiliency that Flatline has in that game, hopefully to make it a closer contest in the next couple of points. Zone has just been something of wonders for Lexington Pi the last two games we've watched of them.
Yeah, you can see how it just disconnects all the pieces of that Atlanta offense. The throwers are just looking between themselves. Yeah.
And that's evident right there with another turn.
You know you've won as a zone when the handlers aren't even looking downfield. You can see it in the women's final here at the YCC. That's exactly what the downpoured team did to Rogue. They instituted such a good defense up front that by the 5th point of that game, DC just kind of shut down their deep game on their own.
So we're back here into the boys final. Trainwreck up 12-10. And now Swarm looking to work it up the field quickly. Flick around to the other sideline. Good motion here from this Swarm offense.
Got some very vocal sidelines here coming out of the break.
Look at the way they're working it down the field. So a lot of skip passes, and that one just deflected, but a foul will be called.
Let's see if we can identify that contact on the replay, but
Deland is calling that he was hit on the hand. As we take a second look.
Ooh, that looks mostly disc, but I understand it can, in the moment when the disc is in your hand, it can still feel like it's extending off of it even as you're releasing it out of your hand. It's a very, very, very hard call for your brain to make from that throwing position.
Some give and goes. Oh, just a little bit of a rushed around throw.
Cliche as it may be, discs don't lie.
Now Trainwreck with an opportunity here. Oh, wow.
Or was that disc don't lie? It's hard to tell.
Another just enforced error. And this might be the little chance that Watts Latone and Utah Swarm need. Or at least the breaks out. Oh, coming in with the D. That's a big momentum changer there for Trainwreck.
Is that Moran again?
That is. That was huge, big-time play there.
He's been making some great plays in this game. Nice upline shimmy there.
Oh, shoot deep, baby, shoot deep. Into the space.
Oh!
Almost getting backpacks right there.
That was a terrific block from Selfridge, going up early on the backside, out of position, going up clean. Terrific pressure defense there from the Utah defender. Wow.
That's great. Great concentration as well. Not to foul from behind.
That is a really tough play to make. I believe we have an injury there.
We do have an injured player. Jared Smith injured on the, he's off the field.
Both teams not giving up this point easily. It's felt like Oregon has emerged a little bit with their defensive playmaking, but then Selfridge once again coming up huge in the end zone with the block.
Constantine thought about the deep look. Nice give and go. And I think the travel was called.
See, now I don't believe that right there is a travel. I thought the one earlier that he was called for where he kind of rounded into it, I understand that call. That one there looked like it was absolutely within the momentum of his 3 steps.
Maybe a violation call.
Just a little bit. Oh.
That one popped up.
Woo. Woo.
Great athleticism there by Will Selfridge. Need some help on the reset into Selfridge. I think
Utah looking a little tight here. Oh. Oh. O'Brien yet again forcing a turnover. He's been everywhere for this Oregon defense in the second half. I don't think he got a piece of it, but he's right there in his coverage.
And up into the end zone. And a call being made, maybe a pick.
It was made well before the throw was released. I seem to understand that. This possession really starting to feel like the game might come down to who converts it.
And another great and smart timeout by Micah Glass. 12-10, Trainwreck up over Swarm. Just a little reminder, there will be no hard cap in this game.
Correct. And also that is Oregon's second timeout. They do not have any more this half.
So what do you think the Trainwreck huddle is discussing here as a look for the end zone?
I don't know. You know, Oregon has been attacking a little bit further out today. They've had those hammers and hucks. They've been engaging the deep space a little bit more. So I'm interested to see how they approach this red zone set piece. We haven't seen a whole bunch of that from them today, but I think you have to have Felix Moran involved in some capacity. He's been really good at getting open. Jared Smith took an injury a couple points ago, but he's out there again in the huddle, so he might be subbing back on. That might actually be why they took the timeout, to get him back onto field, because again, he's one of those players who's been coming up big for Trainwreck all game. I think it's one of those parts where you sort of lean into your guys. It's that part of the game.
So would not be surprised also if O'Brien is in the fray here for Trainwreck.
No, not at all. He's been a playmaker here down the stretch.
So offense looking to go get set.
Will, you got 4.
Micah Glass with the disc for Trainwreck onto the timeout. Or reveals on the mark for Swarm.
Glass there with the disc. Immediately looks up and in for the score. And I think you called it, Moran there.
They just seem to be able to win a little bit more consistently in their one-on-one matchups, especially striking for that cone. Oregon has been so good at getting to that front side cone for scores. Now they have their largest lead of the game at 3. 1 point away. This is game point, is it not?
Yeah, 13-10.
I believe the soft cap went on after that last score.
So Morin scoring there for Trainwreck, and like you said, I believe it is game point here for this Oregon Trainwreck squad, 13-10.
Yep, it is a game to 14 right now. Big score for Oregon.
So now Swarm needs a stand. They need to take it right now. We need a Utah Swarm answer.
Yeah, Utah has played so good in this game. It's just felt like Oregon's constructed a few more runs. Mostly thanks to their playmaking, especially on defense. Just a few clutch blocks here in the second half have really made the difference.
That was a pull there from Emmett Warner.
And our zone look for Oregon. What else from that community from this weekend? They love their zones. And again, if Oregon wins here, that'll be a clean sweep of the brackets. U20 women's, U20 men's, and the open bracket for gold. I suppose a clean sweep would include the mixed as well, so I'll put a mistake there. But 3 of 4 divisions is very, very good.
So working the disc around. Nice little scuba over the top. Some good fakes around, trying to switch up the marks. Inside the graph. There's a little bit more of that flow we're used to being seen by the Swarm team.
Really nice possession here.
And some contact. Accidental, they'll talk it out. Should remain here with Swarm.
Just a little bit of a delayed read there by the defender.
A lefty backhand over the top. Good movement. Still just carving up space.
Utah really relying on their backfield playmakers here.
Nice over the top look there by Watch Latone.
Almost 100% of this possession has been held in the backfield by Utah.
All the way around to Watch Latone. Inside to Graf, and just excellent patience and dissection here from the Utah Swarm offense.
That almost felt a little inevitable at a certain point. They just had such a rhythm and so much confidence moving in that backfield. If that was Utah's last offensive point of this tournament, you got to be really happy if you're a member of it. That was just excellent execution against a very good Oregon zone defense.
Even the fake right there by Watch Latone and his cutter jumping up in the air drew an extra defender and left Graf wide open there in the front of the end zone.
Yeah, Watch Latone showing he's one of those throwers who can manipulate multiple defenders when he has the disc. That's one of those skills that's so hard to teach. It just kind of comes to throwers, I think. It's partially skill-based, partially respect of the defense, and a little bit of swagger, as you see from Watch Latone throughout this game. Just sort of that audacity to say, yeah, I'm gonna swing no look every single time through your zone. That means you gotta look for my no look throws every single time I have the disc. You don't game plan for stuff like that. You can't.
Yeah, you can't teach that. That's just his playing style, the swagger around him, and now he's trying to urge his team on in this comeback in the U20 boys final. But they got to get a break. final score there in the U20 mixed. Lexington Pi winning 12-2 over Flatline of ATL. They are the U20 mixed champions here at YCC. A big shot deep. They got 3 receivers back there who come down with it. And no one can, but there seems to be a call there in the backfield. We'll talk things out.
It almost looked like Oregon might have dragged a couple of needless defenders into the space that O'Brien had kind of on that backside. And I think given how he's been playing in the second half, you sort of clear out and let him go make a play in the end zone for the final score.
This will come back to Ben Thomas.
That's big that it goes back to the thrower here.
That's a big difference maker. Ooh, inside there, that one's gonna pop up.
Little too
see a dog pile, and look who comes out with it for Utah. Will Selfridge.
Selfridge just emerging here down the stretch, showing he's capable of taking the disc away no matter where he's at on the field. I think he got that block in the end zone on the previous throw, and then now again up over the backside.
Yeah, he definitely had a nice big bowl of hops for breakfast. And showing it right there on that replay. He's come up with some big skies.
It did look like a clean block there, so I'm glad to see Utah maintaining possession, and they're going to test the deep space for the first time in a while, looking for Selfridge. What a throw there.
And the find by Selfridge in the end zone. They're one away from tying this one up. What a look. And he's amped up.
Call him Encyclopedia, butchered it, Encyclopedia Britannica, because he's got those bookends, man. What a nice point from Selfridge. He's really emerging down the stretch. You can see it. That's one of the first deep hucks of the game. Utah really trusting him out in space right now.
A little PTP action right there. Shout out to Dickie V. Primetime players showing up right now. Selfridge, one of them for Utah Swarm. Bringing his team back within 1 and trying to force UP. Is Utah there? Don't want to go home here. They want to keep playing.
And there's just no quit in either of these teams in this game. Every single time it seems like one team is going to seize momentum and maybe pull away a bit. No. Just a great game here in the championship. And again, Oregon with another chance at game point, 2:14.
Selfridge, the pull. That one's going to go deep to the front of the end zone. Let's see who wants it more. Can Utah Swarm get another break? Oregon Trainwreck close this one out.
So much space in this vertical stack. Ooh. It's a worm burner from O'Brien, but gets it to Moran.
Nice around on the break side. Glass here with the disc.
Nice patience from Oregon here. Clearing out nicely into space, leaving that open side for their cutters.
Good switch by Watch Latone.
That's a very good switch.
The disc up in the air, snagged. Oh, high release flick into the end zone. And that is game, as Will O'Brien calls it right there. Cheeky stuff. 14-12 is your final.
O'Brien out there, Chef Boyardee with the sauce on that throw. That's a fitting end for his second half. Just the dishy, turn in the light bulb, high release assist into space for his receiver. What a way to close it out for Oregon. They finished the weekend 9-0. Flawless play from the men's YCC team.
Yeah, that was tasty. That high release flick. You could tell O'Brien practices that one a lot. And that was just on the money.
No hesitation. He just snagged that disc out of the air and put it right back up on a platter.
That was very pretty and just a well contested contest. This is exactly what we expected, what we wanted. We wanted a close and good game, back and forth. Both teams had their runs, and just phenomenal play from both these teams. I have a feeling you're going to be calling a lot of these players names out in the future in some big college club teams.
Yeah, a lot of talent on the field here. You could just see it. Utah playing such a good game of their own. Selfridge and Watchitoni just really showing out here in the second half. But credit again to Oregon, just making plays down the stretch, especially defensively, to carve out that little edge that they needed for the win.
So, final takes in this one, Adam?
Just
from the whole weekend as well.
Just so impressed with the mental composure of these teams. These are back and forth affairs, and no team is letting their opponent get an edge, it really feels like. No team's really pulling away. It really does feel like all of these teams deserve to be out here with each other. The talent is so equitable.
Just phenomenal plays, and like I said, just back and forth. Love to see the spirit here from both teams. And this was just an amazing weekend of Ultimate, and capping this one off with a game like this where both teams laying out on the line, a 5-year rivalry, and Oregon Trainwreck able to come out on top 14-12. Just a lot of just decisive moments and fun celebrations here for both teams.
Cool. That O'Brien catch block, that was a game changer, I feel like.
And this one right here, just a huge snag.
Selfridge up over the top.
A lot of big plays in this one. Reading that one, coming down with it, towing the back line. And the final score from this one, U.S. U20 boys final champions, Oregon Trainwreck 14-12. And on behalf of Adam Ruffner, I'm Ada Kaliande, and thanks for watching here on UltiWorld.